Hi everyone, I am partly pissed off, but I'll talk about that in a moment, and partly also extremely excited to have Peta Kelly on today, and we're going to talk for the next half an hour about some things that matter, really. And it was funny, we just got on just now, and the topic of what we're probably going to talk about is being human AF, and that you can't escape your humanity, and that, you know, I feel like so often we do human avoidance. It's like we're trying not to be human. And the funny thing is we both get on and Peter says to me, "How are you?" And I said, "Well, do you want the real answer?" And Peter's like, "Always." So I'm like, well, actually, I feel pissed and frustrated, and so then Peter shared about her stuff, and I think actually that's where we want to start rather than this.
Yeah.
Because you know what, this part is easy. To be honest, and can I start by saying this? It's really easy to get on with anything in life and put on the smiley mask, because that is easy for people to deal with and stomach and digest.
Mm-hmm.
And people, there's less risk of people misinterpreting that. And I feel like even this conversation is going to be a call for something deeper, for actually to remind people that it's okay to not avoid being human. And so what human means is being all of that. So that being said, I want to say Miss Peta Kelly, I met Peta a while ago online, and what I was just so drawn to was, one, Peta is super smart, like the way in which she distinguishes things and she describes things. She just has a way of looking at the world and a simple way of distinguishing stuff that you get it. And she cares. That's what comes through. She just so cares. She's so driven by her heart, first and foremost. And I feel that. I feel that in her passionate rants. I feel that in the way that she shows up and the way she just enormously gives. And so I was like, oh my goodness, this lady's on my radar. So I love watching your stuff, and I just want to say thank you so much for who you are. And we are going to be talking in this call. This call is about really being of service, and also about being of service to be able to connect you with an event in Sydney. So I'm saying it now just because sometimes people click off halfway through because they've got to go get the kids. So I want to say it right now. The New Way Live is in Sydney the 3rd and 4th of December. We're going to tell you on this call how to actually get there, and you're going to want to get there. That's really what I want to say, because it matters. It matters. Oh my God, these 2 words are my 2 favourite words this week. It matters. Let's be driven by what really matters. Peter, thank you for who you are and for being on the call.
Thank you for having me. I feel the same way about you when I found you online. One of the first videos, not the first one, was the one how you zoomed in on your tummy, and I think everybody was sharing it, and I was sort of like just waiting for my perfect time to share it, because my whole feed was just like that video, because it was so powerful and so amazing. And I always tell everybody, you know, if you want to know how to make videos in a way that touch people, like go and look at Kate's videos. Or you want to know how to make content and create content and share content, that's like the new way to communicate with people, go and look at Kate's content. So I so appreciate how you show up online too, and everything you give and how you give, and the courage in which that takes, because I know it ain't easy.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Which actually just makes me think, you're just talking about like the new way of creating content, the new way of showing up, which is funny because your whole 2-day event is called the New Way Live. Can you talk to me about what the new way means?
Yeah, so the new way is like basically the new paradigm. I don't like to say the new paradigm, because the new paradigm sort of makes it seem like it's so forever. And I don't believe there's ever a forever way or a forever time. I think we're all in a phase, and we all have nothing, we can't grasp onto anything too tightly. So I think the new way is just like, okay, what's happening right now in the world, and how do we best respond together? I think that's the best way to put it in. So I started to define the new way, because I started to realize everything that I was doing. So I started doing everything I was doing was so against the norm, and it was so abnormal. But I knew that so many people were vibing with it, and it so was something that they wanted for their life, but they couldn't put their finger on. So it started off when I just started leaving I left my PhD, and I ditched the traditional 9 to 5. So it was that very basic idea of financial freedom and not working for anyone else. And that was very basic. And then it started to evolve into this whole idea of, okay, what is our generation actually doing differently? And I think I shared with you on our other call, is I found myself over and over and over again defending millennials, because everybody wanted to know how to get their company to #1 in Forbes, and everybody wanted to know how to get their product to sell, and everybody wanted to know how to reach the young people, and yet no one was paying attention to millennials and what was in their heart. And I knew what was in their heart because I was having these conversations with thousands of people in my first business. And so I actually yesterday sent out this about 70-page long study on millennials to one of my favorite conscious companies and a few others. And I said, you have to understand this. Millennials care more about purpose than profit. And I just started listing everything, which it was like everything I believed about the new way was defined in this hardcore scientific study, which was just amazing. But to me, the new way, I define it as the new way to live, lead, earn, and give. But essentially, if you sum it all up, it's our generation does things so differently. And it's not just our generation, it's everybody of the now. It's the new way that the universe is requesting, demanding, commanding of us to be. So the new way to live. So how do we live in a way that is wildly free, and not just free as in financial freedom, but free and trusting, and in like a radical alignment that is where most people think it's too good to be true. Is not the new way. The new way is interested in going where it's too good to be true. That's the new way. It's like, okay, there are no boundaries to joy and alignment. Like, we haven't found them, so we're gonna go there. But it's also that being human as fuck, being okay, cool. Well, we want to be superheroes, and we realize that what our planet needs right now is superheroes, and not superheroes as in Forbes top CEO, person who is 45 million times New York Times bestseller. It's not the achievement superhero. It's the person whose lights are on in their true authenticity and alignment superhero. So that's where human as fuck comes in. It's like, yeah, exactly. Human as fuck comes in. It's like, okay, we are here as humans, and if we're trying to ignore our humanness, we're not relevant on Earth, and therefore we can't do our best work on Earth. So the new way to live is more about feeling and getting into alignment than doing, which is really hard for people to hear because everybody loves to be a doer and just ain't about that so much anymore. Leading, the new way to lead, so very much in partnership, in collaboration, in team, in rawness, in vulnerability, in we're all on the same page, we're all equal. We're not created equal, but we're all equally relevant, and our parts are all equally as important. There is no hierarchy. There is no real hierarchy anywhere. So it's really that new way to lead is, okay, we're going together. It's not a pyramid, it's a circle, like we spoke about before. It's a circle, it's a tribe. And then the new way to earn, which is probably my favorite thing to go off on because it's business. And to me, there's so much going on in the world, and some people like to ignore the power of business when it comes to planting trees, taking care of global warming. And to me, business is the fastest way there. And it's the powerful way there. If we can create conscious companies which are going to dilute the ones which are really destroying our Earth, to me, that's a really powerful thing. So the new way to earn, how do we earn in a way that's taking care of our planet, taking care of our people, giving back to the planet, giving back to the people, that's done in a way that's abiding by the other parts of the new way. So giving people freedom. It's not being locked in a desk anymore. Like what millennials want the most is the freedom to work from home and the trust to work from home. So that independent workspace is going to become really big. The longer maternity leave, all that stuff in terms of how the conscious company works. But essentially, to me, it's at the heart of everything that we're doing. We're honoring our planet. We're honoring humanity as a whole. We're honoring, to me, our board of directors is not, our stakeholders aren't just our customers. And our board of directors is planet Earth, all of humanity, our children who aren't even here yet. Like it's to me, I have this divine board of directors that I'm going to talk about at the event. And then the new way to give. And to me, it's not really the new way to give. It's just, let's just give. But it really is bringing that whole self-love piece in too, and realizing that, it's just the little things. Like how do we honor our food when we eat it? How do we honor our food when we receive it from the market, from the people, from the farm? How do we give more consciously and more generously without leaving ourselves gasping for air? How do we give to ourselves? How do we realize that living in abundance really is an outward thing first? So they're the 4 areas of the new way that it's taken me about 3 years to define them, but it was just over time watching what is working and what are the young people, and not just the young people, but everyone right now who is feeling the pull. What are they talking about? What are they doing? What's like, and it's hard because it's like, when you just know this is what the universe wants for us, and it's like, but everyone has their own beliefs. That's why not everybody is going to be at my event. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people who think, no, this is the new way is this, and the new way is more religion, more this, more that, and that's not it. But the bottom line is, like, the truth is Rome, and Rome doesn't change, but there's multiple different ways to get to Rome. So that's why I'm not preaching this is the truth. I'm giving people a way which is maybe inspiring for them, may make sense to them, and may just explain to them how they are feeling, why they are feeling called to do things differently. So that I very much am not like, this is the only way, this is, let's make a Bible out of this. It's just, I mean, that's Rome. Rome is the truth. We're all going there, but there are so many different ways there. And I just wanted to do my bit and help the people who were vibing with how I understood this time on Earth.
Peta Kelly, holy cow, lady! There was so much in that. That was just stunning. If you were to summarize those 4 parts of the New Way Live, of the New Way, sorry, just as a summary, what are the 4 parts? That was insane.
Living, leading, earning, giving.
Got it. It sounds almost like while you're talking, it's like there's nothing that gets discarded.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's because I think in the older way and older paradigms, and in some paradigms it's like, you know, we discard this, and because like this is the way. But it feels like for me when you're talking, it's kind of feels like a breath out, like in an expansion, and like there's a real inclusive feeling, whether it's including different ways of doing things, different ways of showing up, different paths. So beautiful. In fact, I was just, when you're talking about actually really engaging with what people really need and want, I just remembered last night. So I was talking with my daughter last night. She's 14 years old. She's creating an eco candle company. And yeah, she's so excited. And so we were talking last night in the kitchen while we were making toast, and she was talking about what's the niche for these eco candles. And so she started saying about there's no candles, eco candles that she knows of that are definitely like just for teenagers, like for young people. And so I said, well, you know, you could have different quotes on there aimed at teenagers. And she goes, yeah, like what, Mum? And I said what I thought would be a quote for a teenager. And she looked midway between horrified and humid. And it made me think how we can think what other people are going to want, but we don't know. Just like if I've got a shoe on my feet and that they are really, like my shoes are so comfortable for me, if you put them on your feet, they probably won't fit you because I'm like a size 12 and you're not going to find them comfortable to walk in. It's like really being able to honor what is really perfect for each person and be able to trust and like resource people. This is what I'm hearing with what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's allowing all, because I think one of the biggest things that's going on in our world now, and what I'm really trusting in our generation to unify is the religious separation, like the belief separation, the race separation, and that's why I think acknowledging all the different ways and all the different beliefs and everything, and just accepting it all as still leading us to the same Rome, the same truth, the same home, then I think that, I mean, to me, that's so freeing because I don't have to try and get anybody to agree with me. I don't have to agree with anyone else, but I can still completely love and accept it. I think it would be a boring world if we all went the same way, you know?
But whoever's listening to this interview, I just want to say, you know, if you've got a piano in a room and a tuning fork, and if you hit the tuning fork, the noise that tuning fork makes directly corresponds to the key and, you know, in the piano, and that chord starts vibrating even when it's across the room. So I want to say, when you're listening to this, if there is something that's resonating inside of you around this conversation, what it's saying is that there's something in you that's ready to like really be expanded and growing. I just want to say trust that, and I highly recommend that if that's resonating for you, then actually come to the New Way Live, which is the New Way Live in Sydney, 3rd and 4th of December. It will be a phenomenal way to really activate what's that resonance in you and have you really step into your flavor of leadership, because why? It matters.
Yeah, it matters.
So true. Matters. So I just want to say, yeah, if you do, are you feeling that resonance? Like basically, Peter's here hitting the tuning fork. Bang, bang, bang. So like trust what's coming up in you, and to head there is thenewwaylive.com will have all the information and to grab tickets, and it's like it's soon, so you got to get into action. That's the next part, is action. And actually, can you talk about that? Because there's leadership, there's the resonance, and I know you did say about how it is about alignment, less than doing, but there is also the actual doing component after that. Can you talk about like what the balance between action and alignment and actual doing is, Peta?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, to me, like when we go out and just do without the alignment, it's just so detouring. And that's where I'm like a huge part of the event is going to be about redefining success. And if we're not beginning everything we do in alignment, we're sort of going through the wrong door. And I feel like we always can only go through one door, and that's the door of alignment. I feel like any other door we go through, even if we're going to be a gazillionaire, even if we didn't go through the door of alignment, do we really want to be a million gazillionaire? Like we're so focused on what we have and what we do, and less on how we feel about it. And how we feel about it is our success. That's our success. So if you are sitting at home reading books all day and you feel so great about that, like deeply so great about that, not like guilty for being lazy or whatever, and then you are successful. You know what I mean? But if you are running around trying to climb the top of your company, but you're missing your family, you never get to work out, you don't like the people at work, you don't like the fact that you're always compared and you're always ranked, but you're earning great money or whatever, and to me that's not success at all. So I feel like alignment and action are the perfect combination, because when you were in action and you were aligned, it's magic. You can do anything, you know. But when you were acting out of alignment, we all know how that feels. It's just like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. Yeah. This sucks. Why did I say yes to this? I'm never doing this again. I shouldn't be in this room. You know, it's just, but yet we do it all the time. Well, I mean, I don't do it so much anymore because I've learned the really hard way. But I think we've got to realize as well that our action is superpowered by our alignment. Like our alignment superpowers the action. So when we're acting with the help of our alignment, that's so magic. But when we're just when we're pushing shit uphill, essentially, when we're trying to win, trying to achieve, trying to succeed, and we don't have the strength of our alignment behind us, and there's just so much alignment does for us. Like when you're speaking to someone and you're in alignment, they feel it. When you are writing an email, when you're doing a post, when you're speaking on stage, if you have alignment behind you, you can't mess it up. But if you were just trying to make it up, you see all the time when people get on stage and they're talking about something they know nothing about, it's such a struggle for them. And they have to have so many notes and everything like that. But when you are just like, I am so aligned with everything I'm going to talk about right now, you don't need notes, you don't need slides. And I've learned that the hard way too. I remember when I used to do my science presentations when I was doing my research, and I love science, but it wasn't like my thing. So you could tell when I was speaking, sort of, I got a rash. I just really struggled. My supervisor was a little bit embarrassed, just very monotone. And when I started slowly speaking about everything that I love, I mean, even my event coming up, I have some slides I put together just for the visual people, whatever when it comes to them. But I'm only going to speak about things that I've really gone through this year. So I can teach people from a place of, I can't mess it up, guys. And to me, that's the only way to work and act, because otherwise it's too hard. It's just too hard.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I've been speaking on stage for years, and I remember there was a point where, because the speaking was coming from a place of getting it right, getting it perfect, and it definitely came from that kind of like that core, like in a loop of, I'm not good enough, I'm not loved. And so when it was, the intention was beautiful, it created great impact for audiences, but it was driven from a different place. And guess what used to happen is my neck used to lock up, and like a physical, actual like turning of my head. And it was literally, I could feel like this real like physical holding back. And going through that was really challenging, but what came out of it was actually being able to, and it felt like almost like not the answer or the solution, but the way out was being able to be okay with saying what was actually there for me. And it made me think about how we can hold on so much to how we want to drive the outcome. But there's a space of actually really just allowing stuff to come through. It kind of makes me think about, and I want to ask you in a moment, this is where I'm heading with this. I want to ask you about like really allowing guidance in the space of alignment. I sort of have this image in my head, like of sitting there, driving with a steering wheel, But actually, the steering wheel is like a plastic steering wheel, and it's like we're
Yes.
kind of like this, like a little kid. And then actually next to us is like the driving instructor who actually does have the controls. We're like this, and this is what I feel like. When am I like this in my life, thinking I'm actually driving, but I'm like this with a little plastic steering wheel. And there's actually something else. Like meanwhile over here, that's actually really got the direction of where things are heading, and I'm like all the stress like this, thinking that I'm.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's a good analogy.
Can you talk about guidance and allowing guidance to come through?
Mm-hmm. So that's it's funny because in my event I have a whole piece about alignment, and one of my points is that you got to have this like ride or die relationship with your insert whatever you call for guidance here. To me, I like I've been doing a lot of work with my soul this year, like soul journaling and getting to know my soul and asking my soul and asking for direct guidance, which is a relationship that takes a while, especially when you want it to be quite audible. But at the very some people say their heart, and I know that, and the heart is somewhere where people are, I know I feel it in my heart. And people can very easily distinguish between their head and their heart, and that's it for them. So some people it's the soul, some people it's the heart, some people it's the gut, and they're just like, I just know it, I just know it, I just know it. And so I feel like the divine, and which is that's good steering wheel you're talking about, like the divine is employing our soul, our gut, and our heart, and they're the ways that can communicate with us. And we're trying to do this plastic steering wheel when we're in our head. So our head really to me is a plastic steering wheel, but the guidance is everything. You're always getting feedback. You're always getting feedback about the harmony you're experiencing, about the truth you're living, by how it feels. We just know, and we know it. Like sometimes I know the answer so clearly. I already feel the relief of the answer, and yet I'm still pretending like I don't know it. And it's like, but what if this? And over here, like my soul is having like a premature party for when I finally get on the same page as her. Yeah. And it just takes so long sometimes. But the gut, has never been wrong. I think if all of us look back retrospectively at the guidance we've been given, it's never been wrong. I think we need to trust our guidance more, and we need to stop putting so much faith in our mind and in the noise and in the rationale and in the, well, it makes sense to do this because everybody else has done this, because the soul and the gut and the heart and the divine don't give a shit about what makes sense. There's no such thing as what makes sense. So I think that whole rationale logic, it makes sense, is just pulling us away from this like ecstasy we can feel essentially a lot of the time. And sometimes it's not, but nothing feels better than alignment. Nothing. I know I recently made a really hard decision. The next year I'm having a slower year, which I've been really called to for a long time. Something about 2017 where I'm just going to do a lot less. I'm just going to just not feel like I have to do all the time, And I had to make recently a decision about a big program I'd been called to do. People have been asking me to do it. They want to pay a lot of money for it, and I wanted to respond to my tribe so much that I kept crafting this program. I kept going back to them and saying, does this feel good to you? Crafting it, going back, does this feel good to you? And the truth is, it never felt good to me. And my mind kept saying, yeah, but Peter, maybe because it doesn't feel good, you've got to go there. Maybe because you're resisting it, it's where you need to go. And I know that sometimes that's really true, but underneath that, my gut was saying, Peter, you've promised yourself something else next year. You're still going to be serving people by this time you're taking to create and go in. And so so it was like underneath I knew, but it took me like 4 months to get on the same page as this. And then finally, it was like my husband came in one day. It happened like 2 days ago. And I said to him, honey, I'm feeling so crap about this. I want to do it so badly for my people, but I feel like I've spent this whole year mentoring, this whole year putting on events, and I still felt like I've been moving at a pace which hasn't allowed me to read as much. And he said, Peter, next year, you just need to write your book. You've been trying to write your book for 3 years, and he just said it to me. You just need to have time to sit and just be with your book. That he knows I've been pregnant with my book for 3 years, and I've never got it done because I've just kept saying yes to everything else. So, and when he said that to me, I was like, my soul has been trying to say that to me for 4 months, but it was finally when it came from like a human, because it makes sense when a human says it, right? That And I just remember that as soon as he said it, I just felt like all the weight in the world lifted off my shoulders, and I was finally just in so much alignment about next year when I already thought I was, but I wasn't, because there was kinks. You know, we always have those kinks. Like, we all ask ourselves, where's the kinks right now in my life? Like, what am I doing that I don't want to do? What am I not doing that I want to do? What am I committing to that feels crap? Which part of my week is just disgusting and heavy? Like, who is in my life that just is an obligation? There's so many kinks, and then we just need to find the courage to just admit what those kinks are, but we don't have to go searching for them because they're very obvious, I feel. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I can't see it. Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah. It's so true. It's just so true. My God.
I've actually thought of having like a little plastic thing of dog's balls like next to my office, just to, next to my desk, just to remind me, like, it's always obvious. It's like dog's balls in your face.
That's so funny. Oh my God. Yeah, you should. I might even do that. God.
It's interesting. It just made me think of what you're saying, Peta. It feels like there's like the not will. So often people aren't allowing themselves to feel, because feeling happy is how we're supposed to feel, and then we're not allowed to really feel or show other things. And there's kind of like a spiritual bypassing of humanity to get to the happy piece. But it feels like doing that bypasses the messages.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you felt yuck for a bit when you were in that space of not knowing which one, like, you weren't, you're sort of like in that kind of that space. Yeah. It was actually that feeling that was coming through from the gut, like, that was a really clear message. And I feel like if we are letting that all the time and not able to feel these things, we're really cutting off from our signals that are coming through.
Yeah, and then they're not, like, I feel like these signals are coming from a real entity too. Like, I feel like our soul and our heart and our gut, like, it's a real living being to me. And so I feel like we're like severing our relationship with our intuition every time we ignore it. But I also feel like even when my gut does come to me and it's very clear, sometimes I am still honoring it, but being very honest about the fact that I don't have the courage to listen to it yet. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I hear you. I know what's going to happen in 3-4 months. Shit. But right now, I just can't get my head around the logistics. I don't have the courage to just say that to people yet. And just being really honest. So at least the intuition knows, okay, I can talk to you. You know what I mean? I always feel like we have to nurture our relationship with our intuitive guidance, our soul's messages, our heart's loud signals. At least nurture them and acknowledge them. I think that's the way to build it to the point where it's audible. Do this, and I think that's what we all want, is like, what? I just want proof. And it's like, God, it's that old Wi-Fi analogy, like, we trust Wi-Fi. I can't see the Wi-Fi right now. I don't know how it's working. You're in Bali, I'm in the US. I don't know how it's working. Yeah, I trust it. And it's just our egos get in the way and not wanting us to trust, like, the most valuable tool we have.
This conversation's been so juicy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the New Way Live. So in Sydney, Australia, it's the 3rd and the 4th of December, which is a Saturday and a Sunday. And
2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks. So when you're listening to this, like, really, if you're resonating with it and you can feel those, like, really do what it takes. Get on the website, it's thenewwaylive.com, grab your ticket, move whatever mountain you need to move to get there, have whatever conversations you need to have, arrange whatever needs to be arranged. And I do want you to know that if this is something that you're thinking, oh, wow, don't wait for next year. Do it this year, because it's going to be at least 2018 before there is another New Way Live. And here's what I found, and I worked as a registered nurse, and I still nurse people in emergency department and coronary care, intensive care. Can you imagine these people are people who've had like an emergency situation where they're facing their mortality a lot of the times. And every time I would speak with someone who was approaching their own mortality, people would talk about the regrets and this kind of pattern of living their life thinking that they would finally get round to doing the things, but just not now. I'll wait till the stars align. I have enough money. I have enough resources. I have enough energy, that I have permission, that someone else gives me permission. It's like there's all these reasons why we put off the things that we really want. If you're called to go to the New Way Live, don't put it off. Like, really do what it takes to get there 3rd and 4th of December. I can almost guarantee that you will leave, and I know Peta says this, like, with your cells changed. So,
Yeah.
thenewwaylive.com. Do you want to say anything about New Way Live, Peta?
I think everything we've already spoken about, and thank you so much, Kate, for your trust and belief in the event. It's just one of those events where we have very raw conversations in a very fun way. We have DJ and food trucks, that sort of thing, because we want it to be so absorbable and not so serious. But we're just gonna go to the places where everybody's feeling it, but not everyone is saying it. So everybody can just feel understood, part of a team, very equipped. It's not like an overpromised sort of event. It's just like you're gonna leave different, because it is an event of big space being held, like we were chatting about before. The intention is very much for people to leave newly equipped in their cells and not just in their notebooks. So, it was the most magical 2 days earlier this year, and because it's back on this side of the world, obviously where we're from, I'm just even more excited about it, because it's just going to be so good. And I'm just excited to see everyone there. And you're right, don't leave it to 2017, because it isn't going to be one. And that's why this one we're putting extra. I've put everything into this one, so it's going to be magic, and yeah, super fun.
So that's thenewwaylive.com. And Peter, I just want to end by just really acknowledging you for the human being that you are, and how you show up in the world, the vision that you've had, and how much you just genuinely give a shit. So thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I had anorexia. That brought me to my knees, almost lost everything through that. I had bulimia. I had such huge self-rejection that it almost killed me. If I could go from rock bottom of total self-rejection, of